have with me Ian Brown. Ian, thanks for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you work for?
Thanks. So my name is Ian Brown. I am the Director of IT here at the ARC Mid-Hudson in Kingston, New York. We're a part of the larger ARC organization, which is it's a nationwide organization that works with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we work with people across the spectrum from as young as preschool kids up to people who are elderly. So we fall under the umbrella of ARC New York, which has 42 chapters. Our chapter is the ARC Mid-Hudson, and we cover 4 counties in the Hudson Valley. We serve about 1,800 individuals, and we have close to 1,500 staff.
Wow, that's impressive. That's good work that y'all are doing, and it's interesting how it's kind of localized, but yet it's part of a larger organization. I imagine that helps with resources and things like that, but you're giving really localized individual help to people that are in the community.
That is correct. So it's helpful for us because we follow the standards of our New York umbrella, but at the same time we are local, we are in the community doing work with employees who are here local in the community.
Fantastic. So those employees, you support them with different products here and there. Tell me a little bit about kind of what the typical setup is for your employees and the different needs that they have so they can then serve the individuals.
We have about 60 different locations and sites throughout those 4 counties. We have 2 admin offices, one in Kingston and one in Carmel, and those are where most of our administrative units are. And so for most of our administrative units, we're using Dell. Also at each of our residence locations, we actually have staff who they either work with individuals who live at those locations, but at the same time we have an electronic health system where staff need to be able to access that system. And so each of our houses has at least two desktop computers that our staff use as well. We have nurses who move between different houses because they need to be able to serve that population, and so they have to be mobile. And so for our nurses, we use the Dell Latitude line, and those have been working great for them so far.
Awesome. So what Dell Latitude lines are you using?
For our laptops, we use the Dell 5400s or the Dell 7000s.
Okay.
It just depends on what the user need case is.
So what would require a user to justify 7,000 versus the 5,000?
So for instance, at the start of the pandemic, we also support two integrated preschools. And those are preschools where we have students who have developmental needs as well as individuals who don't. And so right at the start of the pandemic, our teachers had to work from home, and so they needed the power of the 7,000 because they were going to be doing remote classes, and we wanted to make sure that they were able to support the number of students who were in those classes.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah. Well, that's good that they were able to continue to do the teaching and keep classes going. So you mentioned the Optiplex, and also you talked about your medical records. So are y'all under the HIPAA guidelines and those sort of things as well?
That is correct. We are under the HIPAA guidelines, and so we need desktop computers that can be secure. And Dell has been really helpful with that kind of computers for us.
So, you know, the Dell client community, we all like to geek out a little bit. So what model Optiplexes are you using there?
Model Optiplexes, believe me, that is one thing that I like about Dell. We still have Dell Optiplexes. We still have the 990 series, and I think they're definitely off warranty. They're old, but they continue to work extremely well for us, and we really like that. The 3080s were the last batch that we bought, as well as we have also bought some of the 7000 series as well.
Sounds good. So you've been here, I think you told me what, about 3 years, 4 years?
Just July 15th will make it 2 years.
2 years,
2 years, yes.
So tell me about when you got here, kind of what the scenario was from a desktop, laptop perspective, and then where Where are you taking it now?
So when I got here, we literally had hodgepodge. It was mostly Dell computers, but there were other different types of peripherals. We had monitors from other companies. We had some folks who had laptops from some other different vendors. Before this, I was working in higher education, and we were basically a Dell shop. And I liked it because we had, if anything went wrong, you had one point of contact, and that was really easy. I really like being able to work with Dell. And one thing I really liked about Dell is that if something goes wrong, you have different ways of connecting with Dell. And I remember at my old employer, we had one person who was busy and didn't want to actually pick up the phone and call. And every time that they needed to contact Dell, they used the chat function. And it was great because if you had to wait, even if it was only 5 minutes, you could continue doing work while you were doing that. And so once I got here, my opinion was that it's easier for us as an agency if we can standardize on one type of computer so we know if there's any point of contact, we just need to contact one vendor. We already had mostly Dell computers. When we got in touch with our Dell client rep, we were able to get really great pricing. Because most of our funding is derived from New York State, at the same time, we have to be very careful as to how we spend funds. The pricing that we got from Dell was so great that it just made sense to just stick to Dell. Over the last 2 years that I've been here, all the desktops that we have purchased have been Dell. All of the laptops that we've purchased have been Dell. And now we are also looking to move all our monitors also to be just solely Dell, because if from top to bottom you have the same thing, it's much easier for you to support.
That's right, and I imagine saving time on support like desktop, laptop, monitor issues allow you to not spend time there and spend time, helping your employees, help the individuals that they're serving.
That is correct. So in our agency, our major focus is the individuals who we serve. And so we don't want staff to be out there being concerned about, okay, I'm having a problem using my computer. What they need to focus on is working with those individuals, because that's what the agency is all about.
And I think that's a theme that every company is going through now. It's like, how can I not focus on the day-to-day operations, but focus on what is making my company a differentiator? And your organization is definitely doing a lot of things to directly help individuals that need help. And that's fantastic. But even if doesn't matter what industry you're in, that digital transformation and getting digital and your digital assets together so you can focus on your customers is really key for everybody.
It is definitely key for any organization to succeed. You have to focus on your main core business. The technology should help and not prohibit you from doing your major business.
That's right. So you mentioned you got a lot of endpoints out there that you manage. Is it just you that's managing all this, or do you have a team of folks?
We have a team of 4 staff who do desktop type support, work on systems. Those staff work across the entire 4 counties. And so one thing that we like is that with our Dell computers, they don't break down very easily, because we could literally be traveling 45 minutes to an hour to get to a location that's somewhere out there. Yes, it's 4 of us who cover that entire.
That's a lot of endpoints for 4 people.
It is a lot of endpoints.
Fantastic. So you told me this story about when you came here that people would have a desktop and a laptop and it was separated, and that probably brought on its own challenges. So tell me a little bit more about that and kind of what the solution was.
It was a little weird to me to walk into somebody's office and they're sitting at a PC, and over on a table beside them there is a laptop. And I asked, so why do you need to have the laptop there? And they were like, well, that's how we've always done it. And in my previous employer, what we did was we bought you when you came into the company, you decided, do I want a desktop PC or do I want a laptop? If you get a desktop, you're good to go. If you get a laptop because you want to be mobile, then we go buy you a docking station. You get your monitors and your keyboard, and you work just the same as somebody who is at a desktop. And so I asked people here as to why this, and I said, we're going to take away your desktop. And immediately the response was, but I want my big monitor. And I'm like, This is really easy. All we need to do is we purchase you a docking station. You still get to use your same keyboard that you like. You still get to use your same monitor that you like. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, then that's fine. Go ahead and just do it. So one of the projects that we have on stream is to go through, and for any type of employee who sits in an office and has both a desktop PC as well as a laptop, to just replace those desktop PCs and get them a Dell dock. The other thing is the Dell docks have changed, and so now they have very small little docks, and those work great.
And are you using their USB-C connectors?
USB-C connectors all the way.
Yeah, that's nice. And it's still one plug. You know, one plug will do the monitors, it'll power it up, it'll do everything. I do like my Dell dock.
Yes.
I'm kind of partial to those.
Too.
You know, we've got many people out there in the Dell client community that will be watching this, and if you could give them one piece of advice, peer-to-peer, back to the communities, giving back to the members, what would be that advice you'd want to give to your peers?
Stick to Dell. That would just be my whole advice. In all my career, mostly I've used Dell computers, and one thing that I can say for Dell computers, Dell monitors seem like they never die. At my previous employer, way back in the day, Dell used to make these huge white monitors. They looked like old school TVs, and they would never die. The only way you replaced that Dell monitor was because someone wanted something newer and sleeker, because they just never would die. And so that's the reliability that I've come to be accustomed to with Dell. And so I really like that. The other thing I like is I like Dell support. Calling Dell support means I get a response and I get things fixed easily. With Dell, you get your warranty. Somebody comes to your office, they fix your equipment, and you are good to go. You don't have to take it to a store. You don't have to ship it in. That for me has always been something that I really appreciated about Dell. And Dell products are just really well built. All I'm going to say is continue. If you don't use Dell, certainly consider moving to Dell.
You know, I feel like you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth, and I remember you telling me that, yeah, I've never bought a home PC before because I'm always taking some and refurbish them. And I've got a few Dell laptops back at home that have been decommissioned from the company, but they're serving new purposes in my home life now.
True.
So
Yes.
I hear you. They do last a long time.
They last a long time. All of my PCs have been hand-me-downs, or what I call it.
Yes.
and
Nothing wrong with that.
They still work great. I mean, like, they just continue.
Perfect.
Clocking away until you decide, okay, I'm now tired of this one, but let me move on to something else. But they never fail.
So Ian, you mentioned you've got 4 on the team that support all these desktops all over the place, many different locations. I know Dell Support helps you out with that, and they're able to go on site to fix whatever they need to get fixed. But is that something that you're able to use a lot, or you know, do you end up using Dell services a lot?
Actually, we don't. In fact, the last time I had to use Dell services was because someone dropped their laptop and the screen cracked. And so most times that I use Dell support, it's not because of something wrong with the device itself. It's because someone just did something. And so, no, Dell, just like I said, very, very reliable.
Yeah, with all those devices out in the field, it's bound to happen. A dropped laptop, a drink on the keyboard, those
Correct,
sort of things.
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's good to know they can fix those up and get people back up and running soon. So Ian, we all love to hear about the Tech for Good stories, and this is certainly a Tech for Good story. Can you tell us a little bit about where we are, about the foundation, and things that y'all do to continue helping out the individuals?
Sure. So we have the ARC Mid-Hudson Foundation, which is our fundraising arm, which hosts events. Also, we have what's called the Cornell Creative Arts Center, which is where we currently are. And the Cornell Creative Arts Center is basically an art center that we have that serves individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Another thing that we also do is we have a recently established co-working space that, interestingly, when we got the co-working space, we equipped it with Dell computers, so that if someone comes in and they were working and they didn't have their own equipment, then we have Dell computers and a Dell printer available for them to use as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great that when you have the opportunity for somebody to rent space and then they employ some of the individuals here, that's a win-win. That's fantastic.
It is definitely a win-win, and that's something that I really like about the agency and about working here.
So when the world changed, 18 months ago or so, and we started having to shift to work from home, and some people just, their work lives change. When you're helping individuals that need help daily, how were y'all able to handle that? And tell me a little bit about what was going on during that time.
Because of the way we are distributed, we've always had people working from home. We also have 2 preschools that we support. And for those preschools, people were always on site. And so when COVID started, they had to react very quickly because their model before had always been on site. We reached out to our Dell rep, and we were able to get laptops for all of those teachers. We have 2 separate preschools, so for one, we were able to get them Latitude 5400s. The other one, I think we got them the Latitude 7000s, and we were able to get those in quickly. And then those folks were able to teach their students from home. And I can tell you those teachers were really very, very happy because they were able to still work with their students very effectively, even though they were doing this from home.
Now, as things start to change, are they starting to come back into a classroom setting, or are we quite there yet?
We're still not quite there yet. We think by September, all of our students will be back to full school.
I know we're all looking forward to
Getting
everything back to what the new normal is going to be.
To what the new normal is going to be, correct.
Ian, thanks so much for being here today and sharing your story with the Dell client community, and we appreciate you being a member.
Thank you so very much for having me. Your tech, your voice.